They called me overly sensitive. Then I saw my ex clutching my mother's arm in court. A week later, I secured full custody and cut all ties for good. It was just a typical birthday with soft-hued paper napkins. My mother had baked her signature fruit pie, the one she makes when she wants to seem casual yet dazzling. My father was retelling one of his usual tales about how tough life once was. My sister Sadie brought balloons and acted like she hadn't spent the morning scolding her kids. Everything felt ordinary, the kind of ordinary you get used to when you're in it. Familiar smells, sounds, and patterns. A few chuckles, plenty of grumbling. My daughter Leela had wandered off to play or read somewhere. There were cupcakes, cheap wine, and soft music in the background. No arguments, no shouting, no tension I could sense. I wasn't even overthinking. I was just there drifting through it, keeping quiet, staying calm as I'd taught myself. Keep it easy, steer clear of heavy topics, smile like you're not exhausted, go with the flow. Looking back, I want to grab myself. How did I miss it? How did I not sense something was off? But I didn't. If anything, I thought things were getting better, that we'd all found some peace. I even caught myself smiling once or twice. Then my phone buzzed. I pulled it out and stared at the screen. Leela was calling. That was odd. She usually just came to me when she needed something. I scanned the room and didn't see her. Maybe she was upstairs or in the garden. I answered. "Hey, what's wrong?" Her voice hit me like a slap. "Get out now." I froze. The room didn't stop, but it felt like the air shifted. "What's going on?" I asked. "Just leave the house, please, now." Her voice trembled. She was whispering, sounding scared. I stood up slowly. My mind went blank, then raced. Was she hurt? Did she fall? Was someone in the house? I didn't ask more, just walked out the front door. No words to anyone. No glance at the snack table or my mother's bright smile. No checking for my shoes. My body moved on its own like I was watching myself from outside. When I stepped out, the air was warm. The yard smelled of fresh grass and faint perfume. There she was, standing by the driveway, backpack slung over one shoulder, eyes locked on mine. She wasn't crying. She didn't move either. My heart stopped for a moment, truly stopped. Then it all rushed back. I hurried to her. "What's wrong? What happened?" "Can we go?" she said. "I don't want to talk here, just get in the car." I looked at her hands, her face, the way she gripped her bag's straps. She wasn't hurt, but she seemed empty. "Did someone yell at you?" I asked. "Did someone say something?" "No," she replied. "Not really. Please, let's just go." I nodded. My voice failed me. I turned, opened the car, and we got in. We drove off quietly. Not fast, not dramatic, just left. No one saw us leave. Or if they did, no one stopped us. She stared out the window. I gripped the steering wheel tightly. My mind tried to piece together what I didn't know. Did she hear something? Was she hurt? Threatened? Was it the other kids? My mom? My dad? Everything seemed possible. Each thought was worse than the last. I wanted to ask more. I didn't. We pulled into a parking lot by an old garden shop. It was closed, silent. I turned off the engine. We just sat there. "Okay," I said softly. "We're alone now. Tell me what happened." She didn't answer. I looked at her. Her hands were in her lap. She stared straight ahead. After a moment, she said, "I don't want to go back. Not to grandma's, not to grandpa's, not to that house. Ever." My breath caught in my chest. Her voice wasn't loud or dramatic. It was steady, truthful, the kind of voice you use when you've already decided after hours of thinking it through. "I don't understand," I said quietly. "I thought everything was okay." "What happened?" She just shook her head. "Please don't make me go back." I sat there, staring at the dashboard, trying to catch up, trying to connect dots I couldn't even see. "I won't," I said finally. "I won't take you back there." And that was it. She didn't explain, I didn't press. We sat in silence. I wondered how I'd missed whatever she'd seen. She was quietly holding herself together in the passenger seat. I kept replaying the day in my mind. Every glance, every word, every missed chance. I had nothing. That's what scared me most. I didn't see it coming. I lived in that house. I knew those people, or I thought I did. And she'd seen something that made her want to run. I'd never forget how desperate she sounded on the phone. My voice had sounded the same. But before all this, there was a life that led us here. I was the elder of 2 girls. You'd think that comes with power, responsibility, maybe some favor. Not in my family. Being the oldest meant being the test case. The let's see what happens kid. When I got a job at the local bakery, my parents cheered like I'd won an award. Not out of pride, but because I could help with bills. "Everyone pitches in," my mom said, brushing off my protests when I wanted to buy myself a jacket. I was handing over half my paycheck, working weekends no one asked me to cover. I told myself it was honorable, family-focused, maybe even grown-up. Then my sister hit the same age. No job, no expectations, no talk of contributing. She slept in and went shopping with her friends while I scrubbed dishes and worked extra hours. I quietly asked my mom why it was different. "She's just not like you," she said, as if I were a machine and my sister a fragile vase. So I let it go. I didn't want to seem petty. I didn't want to stir trouble. Besides, I was managing. I had dreams. I had a future, or so I thought. I probably married too young, but I believed I was happy. My husband, David, had that calm, quiet charm that makes you think he's laid back. He wasn't. I worked hard. I had a great job, better than great. Long hours, good pay, solid reputation. David worked part-time. He said he wanted to spend more time with Leela. I figured I was better at the career stuff anyway. At the time, it made sense. I didn't question it. I didn't realize how quickly imbalance can feel normal. Things changed slowly. He got moody, withdrawn, snapped more often. His presence started feeling like walking on eggshells. Nothing had broken yet, but you could feel it underfoot, and it spilled over, not just to me, but to our daughter. Not hitting or bruising, but yelling, slamming doors, long silences, and threats muttered just soft enough to deny. The bottle was the final straw. He threw it across the room. It didn't hit anyone. "I didn't mean to," he said, but Leela was in the hallway when it shattered. She flinched so hard she dropped her cup and something in me broke. I couldn't wait to see what came next. I packed a bag, took my daughter, and left. I went back to the one place I never thought I'd need again. Home, except it wasn't really home anymore. My parents took us in, but it came with a price. I gave up my job when I moved back. I couldn't keep up that pace as a single mom. Not with court dates, therapy sessions, school runs, and a child who flinched at loud noises. Part-time jobs in my field were scarce. I took something flexible but painfully underpaid. Enough to get by, but not enough to thrive, and definitely not enough to help others. This was an issue because, for years, I'd been the family's cash cow. When I was still earning, I'd send money to my parents monthly, covered big bills. I handled things without being asked. I even paid for their fancy trip to Spain. They still talk about it like it was the highlight of their lives. So when the money stopped, their lifestyle took a hit quietly. They weren't happy, not openly, but in small ways. My mom sighed over the grocery bill. My dad mentioned the electric bill twice a week. They suddenly forgot to add me to the family chat. The house was crowded. My sister and her husband lived there too, with their 2 kids, who had the energy of wild squirrels and no volume control. They barely paid rent. My parents doted on them, watched their kids, bragged about them. So I thought if she could stay there with her chaos, I could too. But something felt wrong. I noticed it from the start. Leela's drawings only stayed on the fridge for a day. Her plate was cleared before she was done. She was once scolded for talking too much after just giggling at a show. There were looks, not from everyone, but enough. She noticed too. Of course she did. She stopped hanging out downstairs. She clung to me more. She asked if we could get our own place soon. I promised her we would, that this was temporary, that family was supposed to help. I believed that until the day she called and told me to leave the house. We sat in the car, parked under a drooping tree in an empty lot. My hands were on the wheel, but I wasn't moving. Finally, I spoke. "Can you tell me what happened?" She didn't pause this time. "Grandma, Grandpa, and Aunt don't want me there. They were talking. I was in the bathroom. They didn't know I could hear." I stared ahead and let her speak. "They said they're going to send me back to Daddy, that I'd be better off. That they're planning something." She said it like it was just facts, like the weather, nothing personal. "I don't want to go," she said, still looking out the window. "I don't want to be near him." I didn't speak. She'd overheard a plan to send her back to the man I'd protected her from, and I hadn't seen it coming. When I was young, I thought betrayal would be loud. Like someone shouting, "Surprise," while waving a knife. Turns out it's quiet. It hides in bathroom corners and whispers through thin walls. Sometimes it comes from the people who raised you. I looked at her. "They said what?" She didn't flinch. "They're planning to make you lose me. They were talking in the kitchen. I was in the bathroom." "They didn't know." I braced myself. "They said you'd lose custody anyway, that they could speed it up. That Daddy would take better care of me, and if I went back to him, you'd go back to your old job. Start helping them again." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. "They said you'd be better off." She paused. "They said they could plant something in your stuff, maybe drugs, to make you look bad, and then call social services." Silence. "They wanted to frame me." She just nodded. Her lips were pressed so tight they were pale. "And you're sure?" "They said it, Mom. They said it all, that I'm too much, that I talk too much, that the house is crowded and it used to be better. They said you're not useful anymore, and that he was always the better parent." I felt something shift, not a snap, not a break, just a shift. She continued. "So I grabbed what I could, I left. I called you. I glanced at her small backpack in the footwell. She'd thought to grab my charger. I nearly broke down right there. Instead, I started the car and drove. I didn't go back for clothes, explanations, or my toothbrush. I drove straight to Trevor's place. Trevor and I have been friends since we were kids. Never dated, never tried. Just one of those rare, true friends who shows up, stays quiet, and always has extra toothpaste. He opened the door holding a mug and wearing one sock. "I need to stay here," I said. He looked at me, then at Leela, and stepped aside without a word. That's why he's still in my life. That night we slept on his couch. Leela curled up next to me, too quiet for a kid. I stared at the ceiling, counting fan blades while trying not to scream. My phone buzzed 17 times. I didn't look once. The next morning, I tried to act normal. I brushed my hair, found socks that nearly matched, made Leela's lunch, and tucked in a napkin with a messy dog sketch. I kissed her cheek and said, "You're brave." She nodded, no smile, just pure courage. We walked to school and they were there. Of course they were. My parents stood by the gate like guards, but with tote bags and that fake polite look people wear when they're about to say something awful. Leela froze. "It's okay," I said. "Go inside, I've got this." She ran off. I faced them. "Where were you?" My mom snapped. No hello, no hug, no apologies. "I think you know," I said. "We called all night," my dad said. "You vanished with her." "I didn't vanish," I said. "I took my daughter away from a place where people were scheming to ruin my life." My mom blinked. "Excuse me," I didn't back down. "She heard you in the kitchen planning your little custody sabotage." "That's absurd," she said quickly. "She must have misheard." "Did she mishear the part about planting drugs on me?" Her mouth opened, then shut. A flush crept up her neck. "We were just talking possibilities," she stammered. "You've been stressed. You quit your job. The custody battle's stuck." "I've been trying," I cut in. "While you've been plotting my downfall because your beach trips dried up." "That's unfair," my dad said. "We've helped you." I laughed, actually laughed. "You let me stay after I paid your bills for years, after I funded your trip to Spain and bought your fancy coffee maker." My mom's eyes narrowed. "This is about money now?" "This is about loyalty," I said, "which you traded for a shot at vacations." "We just wanted what's best for her," my dad said. "You're always fighting." He was always so good with her. He threw a bottle at the wall while she was in the room, I reminded them. He wasn't a father, he was a danger, and you knew that. My mom crossed her arms. "You're too emotional. You're making this bigger than—" "I'm done," I said. "I'm done letting you twist this. You tried to ruin my custody case. You tried to erase me as a mother so you could be comfortable again." Silence. I looked between them. "You want comfort. You'll have it starting now. You'll never hear from me again. Not a dime, not a visit, not another piece of me." "Don't be dramatic," my dad said. I turned. "You haven't seen dramatic." I walked away. That night, Trevor found me in his kitchen, clutching a cold mug of tea. "You okay?" he asked softly. "No," I said, "but at least I know where I stand." Leela came out in her pajamas, holding the sloppy dog sketch napkin. She didn't say anything, just sat beside me and leaned her head on my arm. I didn't cry. I was too worn out to feel heartbroken. I'd lost my parents. Or maybe I finally realized they were never truly mine to lose. What I hadn't lost was sitting next to me, and I'd burn the world down before anyone took her away again. You'd think after all that, I'd relax when things settled. But I didn't. Silence, I learned, is just betrayal pausing to breathe. It had been a while since we'd heard from my parents. No calls, no threats, no distant cousins checking in, just quiet. Trevor called it peace, I called it suspicious. Leela was getting better, slowly, sleeping again, eating again. She started drawing odd little comics about wolves battling snakes, and I didn't ask questions. In the end, the wolf always won and curled up with her pups. That was enough for me. I was still at Trevor's, I say still, like I had a place lined up but hadn't signed yet. I didn't. I had nothing planned. And Trevor, bless him, never hinted we were overstaying. He made pancakes for Leela and coffee for me, and I started to believe he meant it when he said, "Stay as long as you need." Then came the job offer. It was flexible. It paid well. And I wouldn't have to sacrifice my soul or miss time with my daughter to afford groceries again. I didn't cry when I got it, but I locked myself in the bathroom and laughed until I coughed. That job was my first glimpse of my old life, with the good parts creeping back. Of course, that's when I saw the photos. I wasn't even prying. I checked Instagram for Leela's school art show updates, and there they were, my parents. On a beach with David, tanned and grinning like he owned the judge. Sadie was there too, smug as a soaked cat, holding a tropical drink like it was evidence. The caption read, "Family first. So proud of the dad he is to our granddaughter." I didn't drop my phone. I just stared, then showed Trevor and said, "Well, that explains the silence. They're sunbathing their betrayal." He didn't speak for a moment. Then he handed me a cookie. That's why I love him. Social services showed up. They knocked at 9 a.m. on a Thursday. I answered, half-dressed. Leela was brushing her teeth, and Trevor was in the back, wrestling a leaky faucet with a tiny wrench. "We got a report," the woman said, holding a clipboard. Her colleague scanned the hallway like we were hiding contraband in a plant. I didn't need to ask who reported me, but I did. "Your parents," she said. Of course. They claimed I'd run off with Leela, that I was unstable, that I had no permanent home, that I was involving strange men in my daughter's care. Meaning Trevor, who was currently pouring juice into a unicorn-shaped cup. They checked the rooms, asked Leela a few questions, looked in the fridge, found nothing, and said we'd hear back if they needed to follow up. I thanked them with the warmth of a paper towel. Then I went to the bathroom and threw up. I sat with my lawyer, who picked at a salad and muttered, "This is serious, Julia, no joke." I nodded. "Got it." He said if my parents testified for David in the custody case, it'd hurt badly. "They're close family," he said. "They know you. If they paint you as unstable, it'll carry weight." I asked my lawyer, who once wore a parrot-themed tie to mediation, "Do you think I'll lose her?" He sighed. "Not if she speaks." That night, Leela asked if she'd have to testify in court. I said yes if she wanted to stay with me. She didn't hesitate. "Good," she said, and went back to her wolf comics. This one had snakes in grandma wigs. The courtroom smelled like air freshener and lies. David showed up in a suit so stiff it seemed to wear him. My parents walked in behind him, sitting by his side like they were his now. Sadie didn't even glance at me. Leela sat beside me, swinging her legs nervously. Trevor gave a small smile from the back, a steady presence. The first day was brutal. My parents testified, calling me moody and unstable. My mom said I'd always been too sensitive. My dad nodded like he was narrating a documentary on how to ruin your daughter. Sadie backed them up. David was a great dad, she said. Stayed home, cared for Leela, always patient. I wanted to stand and yell, then why did I leave him? But I didn't. I sat there, nails digging into my palm as they described a version of me I didn't know. Then it was Leela's turn. She took the stand like it was a school project. She looked at the judge, not her father. "I want to live with my mom," she said. "She listens to me, she makes me feel safe, she never yells." They asked about David. She paused, then said, "He gets mad, he throws things, he threw a bottle once, it scared me." Silence. Then she added, "I don't want to live with him, I don't feel safe." They asked if anyone else made her uneasy. My grandma and aunt said they wanted me to live with him, that they'd make mommy lose me. They said they'd put stuff in her bag to get her in trouble. No sound. I wasn't crying, I couldn't cry. It felt like I was in a void, and that should have been enough. But the universe wasn't done. During a break, David approached my mom. They argued. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw him grab her arm, hard and sharp. She pulled back. My dad stepped in. David stormed off. They never stood near him again after that. They didn't return to court. My lawyer told me later they'd withdrawn their testimony and we had enough. We went back to court. My lawyer lit the fuse. He laid out the money trail, the car, the vacation, the assets David hid during our divorce. It was all there, receipts, transactions. He'd bought their loyalty. When the money dried up, so did they. The judge ruled in my favor. I got full custody, no visitation, no contact. David left the courtroom, flushed and sweaty. My parents didn't show. Their beach photos vanished from social media. The car was gone, the shine faded. Trevor showed me a screenshot of one of my mom's posts before it was deleted. Sometimes family teaches the hardest lessons. I laughed, actually laughed. I still wake up sometimes, half expecting a fight. But then I turn and see Trevor snoring into a pillow and Leela curled up with her wolf plushie, and I know it's okay now. I'm still surprised Trevor and I ended up together. For years, I didn't see him that way. I'd known him since we were kids, when he chewed crayons and swore he'd be a firefighter priest-scientist. I'd filed him under friend and left him there. Turns out he'd liked me for years. He told me one night, over burnt toast and cheap wine, that he never spoke up because he didn't want to risk our friendship. But something shifted. Maybe it was how he held Leela's hand in court, or how he never tried to fix me, just stood by as I unraveled and rebuilt. Maybe it was just timing, maybe it was everything. All I know is one night he kissed me and I kissed him back. Suddenly the world made more sense. He's been amazing to me in ways I didn't know I needed. Leela loves him. He builds cardboard forts with her, takes her wolf stories as truth, and lets her win at Mario Kart half the time. She told him the other day, "I'm glad you're in our pack." He cried in the hallway, denies it, but I saw. My parents tried to reconcile once. They showed up one morning with pancakes, literal pancakes. Betrayal smells like syrup. They said they didn't know what David was really like, that maybe we could move past it. I didn't get to answer. Trevor stepped into the hallway, looked them in the eyes, and said, "You need to leave now." Leela peeked out and nodded in support. They left. I haven't heard from them since. Word is, things haven't been easy for them. They're struggling financially. Some relatives and old friends cut ties after hearing what they tried to do. Apparently, trying to frame your daughter to get a free babysitter and vacation money doesn't sit well at card games. Me, I'm doing all right. Better than all right. I have a stable job I love, a daughter who giggles in her sleep, and a partner who makes me feel safe in ways I didn't know I needed. It's not flashy, it's not perfect, but it's mine, and I'll fight like hell to keep it.